Hello, and welcome to Central Booking, where writers and readers are the authority. I'm your host, John Valeri. On today's episode of Central Booking, two of my most trusted sources for book reviews and recommendations share their top reads of 2021. The Book Cougars recently reached their 5-year anniversary and have a brilliant new logo and nearly 150 episodes to show for it. And 2022 marks the 10th year of Ethan Schneider's popular A Book a Week blog, which also has a new look to commemorate the occasion. Both the Book Cougars and Ethan have appeared on Central Booking before, so be sure to check the video description for links to their individual episodes and social media accounts, as well as for purchase links to their reading recommendations. Now, please join me in saluting these bookish friends on their outstanding achievements, and then get ready for your TBR pile to grow and grow and grow some more.
Hi, John.
Hey,
Valeri,
John.
or as we used to call you, Valerie.
Valerie. Still can't believe that. So we are going to give you 2 recommendations
Each, right?
each.
Yeah. All right. So
Okay.
should we do our intro?
Sure.
Hello, we are the Book Cougars, 2 middle-aged women on the hunt for a good read. I'm Emily.
And I'm Chris. And we're here today to contribute some of our favorite reads of 2021. Emily,
Yeah.
do you want to start?
Sure. My first favorite read was Shuly Cawood's poetry collection called Trouble Can Be So Beautiful at the Beginning.
Yeah, that was a great collection. And I know John read that one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had Shuly on the podcast several times. She's had a memoir, a book of short stories, a book of aphorisms, and a book of poetry. She's, can do everything apparently.
Yes. And my first recommendation is going to be really kind of on the other end of the spectrum. And I have a copy here. It's Garlic and the Vampire by Bree Paulson. Love this book. It's a middle-aged reader level graphic novel for kids like 8 to 12 or so, about a little piece of garlic who is given the hero's challenge. Will she take it up or not? We don't know. But a vampire has potentially moved into the area. And since she is garlic, she's kind of the chosen one. So I won't give any spoilers on that, but I really enjoyed it. And it was a much more, I just enjoyed it. I'll leave it at that.
My other book is called Keep Moving by Maggie Smith, the poet. I also read her book of poetry called Goldenrod this year, but Keep Moving was a book that she put together after she had gone through a divorce. So it's not necessarily a poetry collection. It's more like uplifting book of essays, maybe. It's essays and I don't even know what to call it. Aphorisms, maybe, because after she got divorced, she just every day wrote something and used the term keep moving as her prompt. And there is a new book, a Keep Moving journal that just came out that I haven't gotten my hands on, but I think that's my holiday gift to myself this year.
Nice. Yeah. That's a great call to action too, right?
Yeah.
Keep moving. Remind yourself every day. The other book I would like to recommend, it's a cheat. It's actually 2 books, but Emily also read and enjoyed them very much. It's a new to us author named Alice Henderson, who has a fantastic new series in the cli-fi genre, climate fiction. And the first one in the series is called A Solitude of Wolverines is the first one. And the second one, which just came out this year, is A Blizzard of Polar Bears. And it features Alex Carter, who was a field biologist, kick-ass woman who's out there alone, usually in the wilderness, tracking wildlife, counting wildlife numbers, assessing the health of wildlife communities. And of course, she encounters mystery, thriller, suspense along the way. So great action in these novels. And if you love the great outdoors and wildlife, even camping, I would say,
yes,
I think you'd like this series. So check it out, Alice Henderson.
Yeah.
Yeah. So John, thanks for having us on. We wish you happy holidays and a great 2022.
Yes, and we can't wait to have you on the Book Cougars soon.
"2021 marked my 9th year of reading a book a week. I even surpassed my goal by reading a total of 53 books in the year. I've never been keen on outright ranking a list of favorite books, but here are 5 of my most loved reads of 2021, listed in no particular order. First up is The Burning Girls by C.J. Tudor. It takes place in the rural community of Chapelcroft, a town haunted by its past. 500 years ago, several Protestant martyrs, including young girls, were burned at the stake in a religious purge. Locals still commemorate that horrific history by constructing a monument to them and leaving twig dolls around town, gifts for the burning girls. The more recent history of the city is no less tragic. At the center of this community lies the church, and after years of serving the town and living as part of the community, the town's vicar has committed suicide. Reverend Jack Brooks is no stranger to tragedy herself. In fact, it was a tragedy at her previous inner-city parish that prompted her reassignment to the quiet city of Chapelcroft. Moving with her teenage daughter to the middle of nowhere promises to bring the family a fresh start. As Jack and her daughter integrate into the town, however, they both begin to experience reminders of the town's torrid history, figurative and literal ghosts of the past. In The Burning Girls, C.J. Tudor deftly explores religion, parenthood, trauma, and grief, all packaged in the guise of a supernatural thriller. I've enjoyed each of her works since her debut novel The Chalkman thrilled me several years ago. That first book has been my favorite of her 3 published works, but this 4th novel easily surmounts that one to take the top place. There's a richness to the dialogue between mother and daughter, a sense of normalcy and reality that perfectly balances with the supernatural horror elements. The history of the town imbues the story with the depth of a real place. The best novels capture your attention as you read, but also linger in your mind long after you finish the final page. The Burning Girls is that kind of novel. Whether you're looking for a thoughtful meditation on religion, a harrowing story of a mother and daughter learning to live and love with each other, or a can't-put-it-down thriller that keeps you reading into all hours of the night, you'll find what you're looking for in this book. The Burning Girls is the best novel C.J. Tudor has written thus far, and has me brimming with excitement for whatever she conjures up next. Next up is Rhapsody by Mitchell James Kaplan. The historical novel centers around Kay Swift, a renowned composer and pianist in her own right. Recently, her focus on music has taken a backseat to her traditional duties as a wife in the early 20th century. A chance encounter with hotshot composer George Gershwin sets into motion events that will forever alter her life. What starts as an infatuation over music soon turns into a full-on affair. For Kay, the relationship with Gershwin is the chance at the kind of happiness she's only dreamed of having, a bond that intertwines passion for the arts with the devotion for each other. But Gershwin sees things a bit differently. He's still a prominent man in an age where parties and excess are the norms. He's not going to settle down easily. Mitchell James Kaplan draws on the rich musical and cultural history of the Jazz Age to inform his brilliant fiction. He sticks mostly to the facts, only turning to fiction to imagine the dialogue between characters and slightly altered dates to keep the narrative flowing. From the opening chapter, I was drawn in by the rich descriptions of the music. Kaplan's ability to express the sounds of the time through written words helps to place the reader directly into the same rooms as the characters. We're enveloped by the sights and sounds. Once placed into this point in history, it is the characters who propel us through the story. The complex relationship between Kay Swift and her lover George Gershwin is brought to life through Kaplan's carefully drawn narrative, paving the way for an emotional connection to a story that until now has only lived in the history books. I was completely captivated by Rhapsody. Kaplan has written a radiant homage to a bygone era, a love letter to music and the people who create it. Author Charlotte McConaughey's novel Once There Were Wolves also makes my list. This follow-up to her acclaimed work Migrations centers on Inti, a biologist who is working through 2 very different rescue missions. The first involves a pack of wolves being reintroduced into the Scottish Highlands. She hopes that in bringing the animals to the area that they haven't inhabited for hundreds of years, the pack will grow and become a beacon of hope for the survival of the species. The second mission is much more personal. Inti has traveled with her sister Aggie, a withdrawn woman who has retreated from her life after an unnamed tragedy. Just as Inti intends to rehabilitate the population of wolves, so must she rebuild the relationship with her sister. As the 2 rescue missions ensue, Inti will be challenged to overcome both the political and personal ramifications of her undertaking. To reveal too much more about the novel's plot would rob you of the narrative wizardry that McConaughey achieves. Suffice it to say, Once There Were Wolves is the kind of read that is best experienced with as little preconception as possible. The vastness of the landscapes and the sheer scope of monitoring a pack of wolves is juxtaposed with the more internalized conflicts that the characters face. McConaughey writes with a quiet sureness that gives even the simplest moments a sense of gravity and enchantment. Once There Were Wolves asks us to reflect upon our own relationship with the natural world, and more importantly, to the relationships that we foster within it. My pick for favorite nonfiction goes to A Promised Land by Barack Obama. In his memoir, A Promised Land, Obama chronicles his unlikely rise through community organizing and local politics to becoming the first African American to be elected as President of the United States. He candidly recaps the great responsibility that comes with running a country, never shying away from the toll that obligation took on him. Intermingled with the sprawling geopolitical recollections are those of the quiet in-between moments of a man and his family. It is these moments, the kind that the public only glimpsed as he served, that makes Obama's memoir one of the most personal political writings that I've ever read. Barack Obama has always had a way with words, and the first volume of his presidential memoir is no exception. A Promised Land sees the former president thoughtfully reflect upon the run-up to and the duration of his first term in office. I was struck by the huge aspiration that Obama approached his presidency with, and with good measure. He ran a campaign built upon hope and change, and a majority of the American population placed their confidence in him to deliver it. When he arrived in the Oval Office, he was faced with the reality that achieving everything he promised wouldn't be without challenges and opposition. He writes about the self-doubt that comes with trying to run the country in a way that aligns with his morals and those of the people who elected him. The book is wordy. Obama takes his time describing the details of each historical moment, giving due course to all of his decisions. Unlike other political memoirs, however, I never felt that the wordiness bogged down the writing. In fact, it only further added to my appreciation for the depth and care with which Obama devoted to his time in office. Whatever your opinions of his politics, I think that there's a great value in reading a memoir like this one. A Promised Land brilliantly illustrates Barack Obama's devotion to family, country, and the American dream. My final favorite read of 2021, The Butterfly Garden by Dot Hutchison, is actually a title that was originally published in 2016. Welcome to the garden, a massive, glass-enclosed piece of land filled only with the most beautiful things. The gardener has meticulously curated his enclosure. The habitat within contains rolling green space, a waterfall-fed stream, and countless butterflies, each as beautiful as it is unique. In the center of this grand atrium lies a building. From this place, the gardener houses his collection, carefully tending to each specimen. Even in death, he marvels at their beauty, preserving each butterfly in a resin-filled glass. Despite the pride he takes in his collection, the gardener knows it must remain a secret. His collection is as macabre as it is beautiful, a living contradiction of splendor and horror. These butterflies, you see, are not insects, but captured women, each tattooed by the gardener with a large, detailed recreation of the very animals they are named after. Dot Hutchison's The Butterfly Garden evades nearly every attempt to describe or classify it. She's written a novel that is part thriller, part horror, part psychological suspense, yet even those genres fail to fully capture the essence of what her story is. The subject matter is dark. Hutchison never gets graphic in her descriptions, but the mere hint of what happens to her characters set my imagination ablaze. There's something hauntingly mesmerizing about the novel. At times, the events that occurred left me uncomfortable, but I couldn't stop reading. I had to see this story through. Hutchison balances the atrocities that befall the women with quieter moments where they find solace in each other and their memories of a life before. Even in the most inhuman of situations, the connection of humanity shines through. The Butterfly Garden serves as the first book in Hutchison's The Collector series, but the novel works just fine on its own. That being said, I'm certainly going to prioritize reading the next books in this new year.
That's it for this episode of Central Booking. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss a thing.